Central Minnesota Sports Hub. It's the Morning Sports Desk, presented by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and streaming on YouTube.
It is the Morning Sports Desk on a Tuesday, the 3rd of June. I'm CJ Baumgartner. No Corey Tackman today. This is the Morning Sports Desk powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. We had a lot of stuff to talk about. We have some section baseball games as Mother Nature decided that she didn't want anybody to play tomorrow. Apparently, a few games got in. We'll talk about them here. We're also going to talk about the state quarterfinal round for the softball tournament. Mention a little section golf as well. A lot to talk about. First, though, we got a lot to talk about when it comes to the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. And do you know, you're lucky when you can make it a buffet day because desserts are included too. You can sweeten up your week with dessert at the Pizza Ranch buffet. It's not everywhere that dessert is included with the price of your meal. You got to pay extra, and dessert can be spendy. Not at the Pizza Ranch. It's all in one. The salad bar, because, you know, if you have a little salad, any kind of dessert is totally on the table. That's the rule I say, and then I just skip the salad entirely. You got the salad bar if you want it. You have the country's best chicken, mashed potatoes, corn, green beans, chicken fries. There's just a whole lot you can have. The potato wedges, the French fries. On Thursday night, there's wings, a lot of stuff going on there. And then, of course, the pizza, the cheese bread, and the dessert pizza, like you can see if you're watching the stream on YouTube. Make it a buffet day. Check out the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. You can view the buffet hours online at their website. You can also check it out on the Pizza Ranch app. You can order on both of those as well, or just give them a call in downtown Wadena. The Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. After you get lucky with the dessert, because you don't have to pay extra for it. It's included in there. So you might as well have all the dessert you want. And then you go to the FunZone Arcade and you burn off the dessert. See, you don't even need to feel bad about getting that ice cream cup because you're going to go work it off at the FunZone Arcade where you can win a bunch of prizes, including mystery jerseys that you can unbox. I mean, it's just a great time. Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. All right, so now let's talk here a little section baseball, state softball. Let's first start out with the state softball bracket. So here we go. We have this pulled up here on the Minnesota State High School League website, trying to see the bracket the best we can here on this screen. But here we go. It's the state quarterfinal bracket. Now, some of these games, as of this recording, may have already concluded, but it for sure are happening. So we're just going to tell you what this stage looks like and kind of what changes here throughout the next couple days. So in Class A, state softball, United South Central is the 1 seed. They are taking on the 8-seeded Black Duck out of Section 5A. Section 2A had United South Central. The 4-seeded Bram out of 4A taking on the 5-seeded Wabasso out of 3A. And then on the other side of the bracket, the 7-seeded Bethlehem Academy out of Section 1 taking on the 2-seeded Clinton Graceville Beardsley Wolverines, the champions of Section 6. Also, we have the 3-seeded Moose Lake Willow River out of Section 7A taking on the 6-seeded Badger Greenbush Middle River out of Section 8. Now, those games all at Caswell Park in Mankato. They have 9 o'clock first pitches, and this state tournament is set up a little differently. Normally, it'd be you play one game early, and then you play another game later in the day. This is a little more spread out than we're used to in softball tournaments from years past, at least the softball tournaments that I have been down to cover. The first game started at 9 this morning. That's their only game of the day, at least in terms of the no, that is all of the games. All of the games in the quarterfinal round happen today. Then in the consolation bracket, those will happen tomorrow. You have the semifinal game that'll happen at 4:30 on each of the respective fields. And then in terms of the consolation bracket, those games will also take place tomorrow, but they'll be at 11:30. And then obviously the third place games will take place on the Friday. All of that will be at Caswell Park, except for the state championship game, which will take place at Jane Sage Cowell Stadium, which is the University of Minnesota softball field on the U of M campus in the Twin Cities. That's what things are looking like right now for state softball, at least in terms of Class A. Why don't we take a look here quick at the AA softball bracket, because we have the 1-seeded Randolph out of Section 1AA taking on Section 7AA champion Esco, who is the 8th seed. 4-seeded St. Cloud Cathedral in softball out of 6AA taking on the 5-seeded Spectrum out of 5AA. The 7-seeded Jackson County Central out of 3AA is going to be taking on the 2-seeded St. Agnes out of 4AA. And then the Section 8AA champions, the 6-seeded Holly Nuggets, going to be taking on Lake Crystal Welcome Memorial at champions of 2AA. They're the 3 seed. And those games are all going on tonight, 7 o'clock. First pitches at Caswell Park, again, down in Mankato. And it's all set up the exact same way here as well. In Section 3A, Mankato East champions of Section 2 are the 1 seed taking on the champions of Section 3, the 8-seeded Simile. Champions of Section 4, champions of Section 5, is the 4-seeded Becker Bulldogs, taking on the champions of Section 8, the 5-seeded Ricori. Swinging over to the other side of the bracket, Benile St. Margaret's is the champions of Section 6 AAA. They're the 7 seed, taking on Chisago Lakes, who's the 7 AAA champion. They're the 2 seed. 6-seeded Byron out of 1 AAA. They're taking Cretan Durham Hall out of 4 AAA as well. Wrapping things up in Class 4A. Number 1 seeded Forest Lake out of Section 7 4A, taking on champions of Section 6 4A in Edina. Edina is the 8th seed. 4-seeded Bloomington Jefferson out of Section 2, taking on the Section 8 champion Brainerd Warriors. They are the 5 seed in this bracket. 7-seeded Egan out of 3 4A is taking on the 2-seeded champion of Section 5, Champlain Park. 3-seeded Farmington out of Section 1, taking on the number 6 seed White Bear Lake area out of 4A. That's the state softball bracket we have for you here. Let's flip things over now into our baseball brackets, because we have a game that we're going to talk about between Parker's Prairie and Upsala Swanville area that I'm going to preview here in just a second. But first, want to touch on some of the other things that are going on in the state or in the section baseball brackets. So here we go. Section 8AA, Thief River Falls and Goodridge played each other yesterday. They were able to sneak that game in before the rain. It was a 5-3 victory for Perham over Thief River Falls Goodridge, which means the Yellow Jackets are 1 win away from returning to the state tournament. They are going to find out who they are going to play later, because at noon, Thief River Falls Goodridge and East Grand Forks are playing in Park Rapids at noon after East Grand Forks got a 6-4 victory over DGF yesterday. So that means that the winner of this game between Thief River Falls Goodridge and East Grand Forks is going to play Perham, and that game will take place at 2:30 this afternoon. If Perham were to lose that game, it would go to a winner-take-all matchup on Thursday afternoon, likely in Park Rapids. Taking a look at Section 6AA, the only team we are following here is Staples Motley. They are all the way in the elimination bracket here. They are going to take on the 5-seeded Albany. 7 o'clock first pitch at Joe Faber Field in St. Cloud. Cardinals need to win to keep their season alive. If they do, they'll play the winner of Royalton and Foley, and they'll play them at Dick Putz Field tomorrow at noon. So Staples Motley playing at 7 o'clock tonight. If they win, they play at noon tomorrow, and they could potentially play 2 games tomorrow to try and work their way into the section championship game. Right now in the semifinal, it's St. Cloud Cathedral and Piers. They are squaring off at 7 o'clock tonight at Dick Putz Field. All of these games, by the way, set to take place yesterday, and they didn't quite work out that way. Over in Section 5, we have some local matchups to talk about. 2 local teams going at it in Sebeka and Bertha Hewitt Verndale. It was the 6-seeded Sebeka Trojans beating the 2-seeded Sebeka Trojans beating the 3-seeded Bertha Hewitt Verndale Raiders. 6-3 was the score. Sebeka is going to take on Mille Lacs because Mille Lacs beat New York Mills 6-4 in their matchup. So Sebeka and Mille Lacs are going to play each other at 4:30 this afternoon at Helly Field in Piers. Winner of that game will play the loser of Ogilvie and Frazee, and Frazee playing Ogilvie at 2 o'clock in Piers. So both these games are going to happen in the afternoon, and then capping off with a night game with in Piers at 7 o'clock first pitch at Helly Field. Again, these games supposed to happen yesterday, but Mother Nature had other plans, which gets us to Section 6A, because I was down there in Morris yesterday getting ready to cover Upsala Swanville Area versus Parker's Prairie in this Section 6A semifinal game. It was supposed to take place yesterday at 1 o'clock. I was there. We were in the broadcast. We had the pregame show just about wrapped up, getting ready for first pitch, and then there was these black clouds coming in. Game one already happened, by the way. It was 88 degrees. It was hot. It was sticky. And there was a matchup before between Belgrade, Bruton, Rosa, and Breckenridge, which you can see on the bracket here. BBE was able to get the 4-3 win on a walk-off double. Border West beat Brandon Evansville 9-7. Those two teams are going to play each other today. But after that game between BBE and Breckenridge, you just could see these black clouds coming in. And I was looking, I was like, that looks like trouble, right? I'm in a comfortable press box. I'm high and dry, but still, like, that doesn't look like a good sign, just for the sake of this game happening. And, Coach Denny was at home plate with Coach Jarrett's of Upsala Swanville, and they were both talking with the umpires in the usual exchange of lineup cards and ground rules and just kind of the pleasantries that go before these kind of games. And they all were looking up at the sky towards the black clouds. And then all of a sudden, right before first pitch, there was a crack of lightning, and you just knew that there was going to be a 45-minute delay. The umpire turns around to the crowd in the grandstand and says, 2:30. We're going to play at 2:30. We did not play at 2:30 because during that 45-minute delay, the skies opened up, and I hadn't seen it rain that hard in 10 years. It was a lot, at least on a baseball field, because instantly, within 5 minutes of the rain, you looked out in the field, there was standing water. You just knew that you were not going to get that game in today. So that was not ideal. And so they pushed it off. Talked with Coach Denny after the game was canceled. He said, yep, 2:30 in Morris tomorrow, which is now today. So Parker's Prairie is going to play Upsala Swanville Area. 2:30 first pitch. As soon as I get done recording this MSD, I am heading down to Morris to go cover the game. And on the Superstation K106, 105.9 FM, streaming online at Radio-Wadena.com, or the Superstation K106 mobile app. Both of these teams are the 1 seeds on their respective sides of the Section 6A bracket. Parker's Prairie on, I guess, what you would call north side, south side, probably north side of the bracket. Parker's Prairie, the 1 seed. Upsala Swanville Area, USA Patriots, they are the 1 seed on the south side as well. But looking at these two teams, they are pretty darn close to each other. As we take a look at QRFs, you take a look at head-to-heads, you take a look at kind of favorable matchups or like opponents. This is a really closely matched game. Parker's Prairie is 20-3 overall on the season. They were 12-2 in the Park Region Conference, of which they were champions in for the second straight year. 6-1 in Section 6A. Of course, their only loss was to Upsala Swanville Area, but we'll get to that in a second. 10-1 on the road. 2-0 in neutral site games. 8-2 on the road. For the Panthers, they got a 9-1 victory in Rothsay, a 12-2 victory in 5 innings over Breckenridge, and a 10-0 victory in 6 innings against Brandon Evansville to get to this point and get to play Upsala Swanville Area. For the Patriots, they are 16-5 on the year, 8-2 in Section 6A, 6-2 in the Prairie Conference, rather, where they finished in that conference. They finished second to the champion Long Prairie Gray Eagle, who went 8-0 in conference play, and those were the 2 losses in the section for Upsala Swanville Area was against the Long Prairie Gray Eagle, who is eliminated and not in the Section 6A tournament. 4-3 on the road for Upsala Swanville Area, 8-1 on their home field, 4-1 in neutral site games. They got a first-round bye. They went right into double elimination, did Upsala Swanville Area. They beat Ortonville 9-1, beat Belgrade, Bruton, Rosa 3-1 to get to this spot to take on Parker's Prairie. And for the Panthers and the Patriots, they met all the way back on April 24th. It was a 9-2 victory for Upsala Swanville Area. Talking with Coach Denny, he said, wasn't our best game of the season. We booted the ball around a little bit. He says, we're a much better team now than we are back then. If you look at the QRF, it says as much. Parker's Prairie, 97.1 QRF. That has them ranked number 1 in Class A if you just go according to the QRF. And if you look at Upsala Swanville Area, their QRF is 88.2. They rank 5th in all of Class A. So these are two really good teams. And honestly, when you're at this point in the year, it doesn't matter. But really, the pitching is just going to be so evident in this one. Parker's Prairie was going to start Nolan Steidel on the mound. All lineups are going to be the same because technically the game is on pause, I believe, is how that works. But again, I'm not sure. But Nolan Steidel was going to throw on the mound for Parker's Prairie in this ballgame. That's what it was going to look like. And I assume he'll start again. A.J. Woodworth has started. Benelli Myers has pitched. So those are the only three pitchers Parker's Prairie has used. But they got to figure out a way to get the win today. And if they win, then they don't have to play until Thursday. And then it's one win and you're into the state tournament. If you lose, if you're Parker's Prairie, you end up playing the winner of BBE and Border West. And that game would be right after in Morris. And then obviously you're in a winner go home situation. But for Parker's Prairie, if you get the victory, you would go to the championship game, which would be against, again, either Upsala, Swanville Area, BBE, or Border West. They'd all kind of fight to see who gets to play. Both of those games would happen on Thursday for the section championship. It would be 2:30 first pitch in Morris for game one. If there needs to be a winner-take-all game, obviously through the elimination bracket, that game would take place immediately after. Before we actually could have known who the section championship was today, possibly, but the rainout caused us to wait just a little bit. So that both of those games will happen on Thursday from Morris. Those will be the sites of all of the section games that are happening. And really, that's it in terms of all the games. I think we've done a good job catching you all up here. So one last thing we need to do before we leave, just want to congratulate both you at Verndale, New York Mills on the successful seasons. Some other teams we haven't talked about, obviously, Wadena Deer Creek, among others. Their seasons wrapped up as well. And the only local teams we have right now, obviously, you look at the Frazie's, you look at the Staples Motleys, the Sabikas, and the Parker's Prairies. Those are the local teams we are tracking throughout the section baseball bracket. We will know the state tournament by the end of the week, but for now, that's where things sit here on the Morning Sports Desk. There's one thing I do want to talk about before we get out of here for a Morning Sports Desk. Now, obviously, this happened last week, but we just, in terms of the show schedules and things like that, and I've been filling in on mornings for Corey while he's been out, and just kind of there hasn't been a ton of time to hop in and do a sports desk. But I think this is really important that we talk about here and that we just make a point to mention. So last week, obviously, in New York Mills, they lost a recent graduate. They lost a member of the baseball team in Blake Unger. He passed away in a car accident. And obviously, our hearts at the Morning Sports Desk and prayers and thoughts go out to him and his family and everybody involved in that situation for peace and all that stuff. That obviously needs to be said, and we are very sorry here at MSD. But the New York Mills School, they did something really cool to try and honor that, to try and make that legacy live on. Last week, they had a visual tribute for Blake in which they called Bats Out for Blake. And what they wanted you to do is they wanted you to place a bat on your front porch or window outside of Russ Jacobson Field. And here's a little bit what that graphic looked like. You could also really just anywhere you had a bat, take a picture of it, have the hashtag Bats Out for Blake. And they really had a lot of great feedback jumping in on this thing and really making this just a cool tribute to a member of the New York Mills school and athletic community, and kind of to rally around that. There was a big presentation and kind of memorial for him before their game in the section playoffs that they ended up winning. So it just, against Nevis, I believe, it was just overall a really, really cool scene for them to honor and try and make the most out of a really bad situation. Obviously, as you can see here, you see that one. If you look on the Sports Cow page, we joined in on the Bats Out for Blake trend as well, which was really, really cool. And again, we were really happy to be a part of that and to jump in and to do all that stuff. But obviously there was a whole lot of Bats Out for Blake. And I know that I'm trying to find the New York Mills school post here because they had just really a big thing where there's so many pictures that you can check out and see everything going on. I think I have a few of them here that we can pull up and show. This is from the New York Mills School Facebook page and some of the Bats Out that everybody had on the Bats Out for Blake campaign. It just is Really, really cool, and go check out all those photos as well. So obviously, it happened last week, but we didn't get a chance to touch on it. It's really important that we do. The Bats Out for Blake campaign that the New York Middle School did. Just a really cool gesture by them and a really cool gesture by the community and surrounding areas to jump in. And obviously, it's the least that we can do to support the families and the community that is going through that loss. Our hearts go out to them. So there's the morning sports desk here on a Tuesday, the 3rd of June. I'm CJ Baumgartner. Don't quite know what the show schedule is going to look like for the rest of the week, but if you follow on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, WadenaRadio.com, you follow us on YouTube, that's where we post everything. You'll stay up to date there as well. So until then, I'll catch you next time.
Powered by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Follow the Morning Sports Desk on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And watch every show on YouTube.